Okay, here we are, our final installment on the Copland. I hope you've been enjoying it and following along. I understand it can go fast, and I tried not to get too technical. I tried to just point out things that were the most salient. We're going to finish off with the seventh day and the creation of mankind and mankind becoming a living soul. So I'm on page 47 now. We just finished the sixth day with this same voicing of G major. The altos actually are taking the B and the sopranos the G. I suppose it's so that the altos just have to go up a half step from their previous note. But that leaves the sopranos going down a seventh, so I'm not sure why he did that. But anyway, it's the same voicing to the listener's ear. And the evening and the morning, we're the sixth day. And then, importantly, there's silence. Right? Because God is done creating. All right? And then slowly and with serenity, it says, we come back and we talk about the seventh day. Thus the heavens, right? A little bit unrelated, right? We're in basically B major. And then we go to D major here. Heaven and the earth, and this is very hymn-like, very chant-like, really. Heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And we have a similar chord again. And on the seventh day, back to D major, seventh day, God ended his work, which he had made. And then we do a similar thing, but now in this key, and he rested. On the seventh day, now we move from D to F sharp. Sense of satisfaction, of it's a kind of a harmonic smile that dared to go from D major, and he rested, which feels calm, especially in this voicing and this dynamic. And then this smile, F sharp major, seventh day from all his work which he had made, outlining triads, very basic. A similar kind of a shift. We go from here, and God blessed. We go to, what is it, A major. Blessed the seventh day. And now we get a little active here, because he's doing something. He's sanctified it. Which is not quite resting, he's doing something, because in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made. And this feels like the end. I'm on page 51 now. We're holding this C sharp chord. It's in the voicing that we always hear, and the evening and the morning. So we think this is the end. But surprisingly, though we're in this key, C sharp major, the solo takes over in what's essentially D major, the most unrelated key there is to C sharp major. Here we are. She sings. We're still holding that, and she's doing a completely unrelated key. Again, that sense of polytonality, which Copland uses a lot in this work, to create tension, like things aren't done. She's sounding like what's a final blessing in the words, for she's saying on page 51, these are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, and every plant in the field, etc. Yeah, and she's, finally we give up on the C sharp and she's just taking over on this, which sounds a little like D, a little like D, a little like A Mixolydian, but that's not important. We're now on page 53, measure 355, and the tenors start with For the Lord God. Now we're talking about the fact that God has not yet made rain to come upon the earth, and there's all of this plant and field, etc., but God has still got to make his garden. And so what God does, man's going to till the earth, mankind, and so he sends up a mist. And we're in kind of a triple time again, indicating water is on its way. Had not caused it to rain. And here we are at measure 355. We'd sort of call this the Lydian mode, right? We talked about the different modes in different videos on this work, and he has a B natural in the beginning, but then here again B natural. I'm sorry, B sharp is what I'm saying, which gives it that sense of Lydian mode. Lydian mode being from F to F on white keys. That fourth scale degree is higher than you expect. Often that gives an uplifting feel, but in this case it gives a little bit of a wistfulness because of the way we're descending with it. So yeah, a little bit wistful. There was not a man to till the ground, and there was no water on the earth. So God on page 54 at measure 365 starts to send up a mist from the earth, which watered the whole face of the ground. And in that section on page 54, you see him splitting the voices now for the first time in many voice parts. In this case, 7 voice parts, 4-part men, 3-part women. And that's that sense of this growing mist that rises out of the ground. Yeah, and then skipping on, we have on page 55, and God formed man from the dust. He's talking about the creation of man again. And from the dust of the ground. And we end on this chord at measure 374. We ended with this sort of unsettled sense of altos having, right? And at 376, there's a big tonality shift. You see, we're going from 6 sharps, which is the key of F sharp major, if we were major, and now we're heading into no flats or sharps. So we're going as far away as we can. So we're here. Is that what we're, yes. And then we take that B flat, or the A sharp, and we use that as a kickoff to the next part, which is essentially in kind of a E flat sort of feeling with E flat 7. All pianissimo, but he breathes into his nostrils right on that spot where we have a complete different shift in tonality. He breathes in his nostrils. And here E flat and B flat major are kind of fused together. God and man, we have 376 for the women, for the at least the say the soprano line. tonalities there, one being God's activity and man's response. And then on the next page, what God breathed was the breath of life. Here we have again. Maybe it's still that fusing of B flat and E flat, a fourth apart. And then true mixing of two keys at measure 380. Full out, lots of voice parts, the most in the whole piece, the most dramatic dynamics, the most dramatic, it's the loudest, it's the most splits, and we have two keys, full force going. In the men's parts, we have a G flat major chord, and in the women's parts, I'm on measure 380. In the women's parts, we have a full-fledged, full-out D flat chord. Again, the men are here. The women are doing this simultaneously. The composite sound. It sounds as full a spectrum as you can get. Charles Ives used this effect in his psalm settings, and I know that they would have been in Copland's ear at some point. And that sense of two keys at once that are somewhat related but different, right? Gives it a kind of a full color spectrum, right? Like it's all the colors of the rainbow seen at once. So man became a living soul, is what he's saying. Living soul, right? And then you do it again at 384, and same thing, two different keys, and man became living, and then the men join the women on. No, they don't. The women join the men on this D flat. Right? The men join the women on the D flat. And then you'd think that would be the end, but no, he goes on to a little cap of it to E flat, right? C minor, and finally and note the dynamic here, right? On this last page, top of the page starts forte, then fortissimo, then triple forte. Finally, when you're saying the last words, a living soul, quadruple forte, in everybody's highest, most extreme register. I think Copland was excited about the creation of man. Okay, that's the whole thing. For those of you who stuck with it for 7 whole episodes, thanks. And I hope you enjoyed it. It's my little way of connecting with you in this difficult time. So stay healthy, wash your hands. We'll see you soon. Maybe we'll be able to do something interactively at some point. Okay, take care.